Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Our topic for today is type of sentences. This topic is very helpful when it comes to writing task when we are supposed to show grammar range. तो जब भी grammar range दिखाना होता है तभी types of sentences मतलब simple, compound, complex, active, passive they come in handy, and it secures majority of our scores. So this is something that cannot or should not be taken lightly. So let us go forward with the lecture. All right, so we have four types of sentences. First one is simple sentence, second is compound, third is complex sentence, and the last one is compound complex. Last one is the mixture of both complex and compound sentences. We will learn each four of this in the upcoming slides. So let us begin. First one is simple sentence. Of course, let us see what is a simple sentence. A simple sentence is a sentence that contains just a subject and a verb. Any sentence, कोई भी sentence ले लो. अगर वो simple sentence है, तो वो sentence के अंदर क्या होगा? It would only have a subject and it would only have a verb. Right? Only a subject and a verb. There would be nothing else. Conjunction बिल्कुल नहीं होगा. Let us see examples. Um, A simple sentence is also called as independent clause. कोई भी sentence जो खुद के ऊपर meaning बना लेगा. Any sentence which will make sense on its own. उसको कोई दूसरे sentence की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी to make sense, right? And that is why it is called an independent clause. Let us see example. I am a teacher. I am a teacher. ये sentence के आगे या पीछे कोई condition नहीं है. I am a teacher मतलब मैं एक teacher हूँ. The entire sentence is complete. पूरा sentence complete है. It is making sense, and why and hence that is why it is an independent clause. Here the subject is I and your verb is am. यहाँ पे और कुछ नहीं होगा, like it was in our previous slide, that a simple sentence just contains a subject and a verb. So that's the same thing happening over here. In our next example, she took a cab to the airport. She took a cab to the airport. तो इसमें है यहाँ पे she है, वो हो गया हमारा subject, और took है, that is our verb. Next example, we are having pizza for dinner tonight. We are having pizza for dinner tonight. Your subject is we. Who is performing an action? Then we. We are performing an action, right? In the entire sentence. So we is your subject, and are having. Are over here is an auxiliary verb, a verb which helps the main verb make sense, right? We are having pizza for dinner tonight. So are having is a verb. So that is it for simple sentence. Simple sentence are very easy to recognize and use क्योंकि उसमें कहीं पे conjunction नहीं है, any other addition नहीं है. There is just it is going to be very simple and straightforward. Just it would just have a subject and it would just have a verb, and that is it. Coming to the next one, this is important. Compound sentence क्या है? We will learn examples. We will learn how or what should be used to form a compound sentence and what is there inside a compound sentence. So let us see. A compound sentence has two or more independent clauses. जो हमारा simple sentence था उसके अंदर सिर्फ एक independent clause हुआ करता था. But when it comes to compound sentence, there are going to be two independent clause. See, there is going to be a lot of confusion when it comes to compound sentence and complex sentence क्योंकि दोनों में दो clauses आने वाले हैं. But the main difference over here is that this one has two or more independent clauses. एक independent clause होगा तो वो बन जाएगा simple sentence. एक से ज्यादा है तो वो बन जाएगा compound sentence. Now there is no such rule that in a compound sentence there are going to be only two independent clauses. Here it is said that it has two or more. दो से ज्यादा भी हो सकता है. So make sure that you have understood that it is not just two, but two or more. We saw that a simple sentence has just one independent clause, but a compound sentence has two or sometimes more independent clauses, like I said earlier. Let us take the examples. यहाँ पे दो sentences दिए हुए हैं. We are going to use a conjunction. Conjunction मतलब a word that is used to join or combine two sentences to make one sentence. दो sentences को एक word से join करके वो पूरा sentence, दो sentences है उसको एक sentence में convert करते हैं, तो उसको क्या बोलते हैं हम? उस word को बोलते हैं conjunction. Over here in the examples we've been given two sentences और conjunction use करके दोनों sentences को ऐसे join किया है कि वो एक compound sentence बने. Here, let us see the example. I am a teacher. Full stop. My wife is a lawyer. मतलब मैं टीचर हूँ और मेरे जो वाइफ है वो लॉयर है. Now we are going to use a word and combine these two sentences to form one sentence. So let us see. I am a teacher, comma, and my wife is a lawyer. What word did we use? We used and over here. Right? By using and, we combined two sentences to form one whole sentence. Comma over here is very important. If you're not putting a comma, then it is going to be wrong. Let us go to second example. She tried to lift the suitcase. The suitcase was too heavy. उन्होंने suitcase उठाने की try की. Full stop. Suitcase बहुत भारी थी. Now we are going to use one of the words and join the entire sentence. She tried to lift the suitcase, comma, but it was too heavy. उन्होंने suitcase उठाने की try की, पर suitcase बहुत ही भारी था. We gave a reasoning कि उन्होंने try तो की पर नहीं उठा उनसे suitcase. क्यों? क्योंकि वो भारी था. And hence this is a conjunction over here. But use की करके हमने दोनों sentences को join कर दिया है. I hope this is clear. Third one, he didn't have enough cash. He paid by credit card. We are going to join it again. He didn't have enough cash, so he paid by credit card. उनके पास ज़्यादा cash नहीं था, इसीलिए उन्होंने credit card use किया. The word we joined or used over here is इसीलिए, मतलब so. Used so to join two sentences and make it look like it has the same meaning. जो पूरा जो दो अलग सेंटेंस थे उसके जो मीनिंग थे ये भी मीनिंग सेम ही है, but we converted it into one sentence. Fourth one, we can take a bus to the museum, full stop, we can just walk there. Now we are going to join the entire sentence again. We can take bus to the museum or we can just walk there. Now we are showing option. पहले में भी option था, but it was in two sentences. Now we are going to show options using a conjunction and join both the sentences. We can take bus to the museum or we can just walk there. हमने यहाँ पे और लगा दिया, या तो हम बस ले सकते हैं या फिर हम चल सकते हैं. I hope that is clear. Now what we can see over here is जो कंजंक्शन यूज करके हमने दोनों सेंटेंसेस ज्वाइन करे, पर फिर भी दोनों सेंटेंसेस अगर अलग अलग पढ़े तो उनका मीनिंग बन रहा है. राइट, हियर वी कैन सी वी कैन टेक बस टू द म्यूजियम. हम लोग म्यूजियम तक बस ले सकते हैं. दिस एंटायर क्लॉज इज गोइंग टू मेक सेंस. पीछे वाला जो सेंटेंस है वो हम ऐड करें या ना करें, इट इज गोइंग टू मेक सेंस. एंड ओवर हियर वी कैन जस्ट वॉक देयर. आगे का नहीं है, सिर्फ पीछे का क्लॉज हम रीड कर रहे हैं. वी कैन जस्ट वॉक देयर. अगेन इट इज मेकिंग सेंस इवन दो द प्रीवियस पार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस इज नॉट देयर. मतलब दोनों ही सेंटेंस है वो इंडिपेंडेंट है, दोनों ही सेंटेंसेस है वो अपने आप मीनिंग बना रहे हैं. एंड दैट इज व्हाई दीज टाइप ऑफ सेंटेंसेस आर कॉल्ड इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंसेस. और जब दो से ज्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस, दो से ज्यादा इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस कोई एक सेंटेंस में होता है, देन व्हाट टाइप ऑफ सेंटेंस डू वी कॉल इट? Such sentences are known as compound sentence. I hope compound sentence till now is clear. Now, let us see what type of conjunctions are we going to use. There are two types of conjunctions. This first one is coordinating conjunction. जब भी हम कोई sentence बना रहे हैं और वो compound sentence है, तो compound sentence में सिर्फ coordinating conjunctions ही use होंगे. If you are using any other kind of conjunction, then it might not end up forming a it might not end up forming a compound sentence. So what are coordinating conjunctions? Words like and, but, so, or are called coordinating conjunctions. अब जब भी कोई भी sentence बना रहे हो और बीच में and, but, so और use करते हो, then what kind of sentences are you going to form? You are going to form a compound sentence. Now, this is an exercise. What are we supposed to do is, दो sentences दिए हैं और उसको एक compound sentence में बनाना है. Now, whenever we are forming compound sentence, we know that we are going to use a coordinating conjunction, right? So let us start. First one is, she dropped her phone on the floor. Full stop, it broke. Now we are going to use something from this one, and but so और में से word use करके हमें एक sentence बनाना है. So the better suit the better suited word over here is and. So like it is over here, she dropped her phone on the floor and it broke. उन्होंने नीचे फ्लोर पे अपना फोन गिरा दिया और वो टूट गया and it broke, right? Second one, I'm not very hungry, full stop, I'll just have an orange juice. उसका solution क्या होगा? I'm not very hungry, so I'll just have an orange juice. यहाँ पे so use किया हमें, roughly translated to इसीलिए, right? मुझे भूख नहीं है इसलिए मैं सिर्फ orange juice लूंगी. इसीलिए the word so is used to join both the sentences. You should study harder, you'll fail the exam. उसका solution, you should study harder or you'll fail the exam. This is condition, right? ये नहीं किया तो ये होगा. Or is used. Next one, we'd like to buy a car, we can't afford one right now. उसका solution क्या होगा? We would like to buy a car, but we can't afford one right now. This is again conditional. कि मुझे ये तो करना है पर मेरे पास ये नहीं है, right? And hence what have we used? But over here. And the last one, I told my roommate to turn down the TV. Full stop, he didn't. Full stop, I got up and left. See, why do we form compound sentences? As in, जो simple sentences है, वो meaning तो बना रहे हैं. But why are we going to join them? Compound sentences makes it easier for us to understand. जब भी compound sentences बनाते हैं, तो वो sentence है उसका meaning थोड़ा clear हो जाता है. Right? If you keep on adding full stop even while you're writing, आपके जो examiner है, they are just going to assume that you don't know how to make a conversation or how to form a sentence without breaking it a lot. जब भी हम बातें करते हैं तभी बीच में full stop बहुत कम आती है. Why? Because we always talk in either compound sentence or complex sentence. And hence, this is important. Let us come back to the example. I told my roommate to turn down the TV. He didn't. I got up and left. Now we are supposed to add two coordinating conjunctions over here. So let us try. I told my roommate to turn down the TV, but he didn't. So I got up and left. We added but and so over here to make more sense. Now you would have noticed that whenever we add conjunction, we are using commas, right? But there is a difference. When are we supposed to? हर बार commas use नहीं होंगे, कभी use होंगे, कभी use नहीं होंगे. So let us see when and where to use it. All right, let us start with complex sentences. Comma वाला हम बाद में देखेंगे, but please hold that thought. All right, let us come to complex sentences. A complex sentence has a dependent clause and an independent clause. हमारे compound sentence में क्या हुआ था कि दोनों ही independent clause थे. Both the sentences were making sense on their own, but here in complex sentences, one clause is dependent and another one is independent, right? Let us take an example. Here, when I got home from work yesterday, comma, I watched TV for an hour. जब मैं कल काम से घर आई, like after finishing my office, I came back to home, I watched TV for an hour. 1 घंटे के लिए मैंने टीवी देखा. So which of these is your dependent clause and which one is independent? Then when I got home from work yesterday, ये पूरा dependent clause है. अगर पीछे वाला जो है I watched TV for an hour निकाल दे, then this one जो dependent clause के नीचे लिखा है, it is not going to make sense on its own. Like जब मैं कल काम खत्म करके घर आई, that is it. Is it going to make sense? नहीं, हमें आगे थोड़ी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, तभी हमें पता चलेगा कि एक्चुअली सेंटेंस क्या कहना चाह रहा है. And that is why we are supposed to add something at the end for the entire sentence to make sense. And that is a independent clause. मतलब I watched TV for an hour. अगर सिर्फ हम यहाँ पे ये वाला क्लॉज ले जो इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है, आई वॉच टीवी फॉर एन आवर, इट इज मेकिंग सेंस, राइट. मैंने 1 घंटे के लिए टीवी देखा. आगे या फिर पीछे कोई कंडीशन होने की जरूरत नहीं है. I hope that is clear. I'll repeat again. Your complex sentence is going to have one dependent clause which will not make sense on its own, and another one is going to be an independent clause which will definitely make sense even if there is no condition. All right, we have more examples. I love to travel because I get to meet a lot of interesting people. मुझे घूमना बहुत ही अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि मुझे बहुत सारे लोगों से मिलने का चांस रहता है, right? So which of these is a dependent clause and which of these is independent? तो आपका जो कंजंक्शन होता है वहां से दोनों का डिवीजन रहता है, राइट. सो द वन बिफोर योर कंजंक्शन ओवर हियर, यहाँ पे कंजंक्शन है बिकॉज, तो उसके पहले वाला जो क्लॉज है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी एन इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज. आई लव टू ट्रैवल, राइट. इट मेक्स सेंस. कोई मुझे पूछ रहा है दैट डू यू लव टू ट्रैवल, देन आई वुड से यस आई लव टू ट्रैवल, एंड हेंस दिस क्लॉज इज मेकिंग सेंस. I love to travel. But the other part of the sentence, because I get to meet a lot of interesting people, हाँ मुझे बहुत सारे इंटरेस्टिंग लोगों से मिलने का चांस मिलता है, बट क्या क्या करके? Because I like to travel. This entire underlined sentence over here is a dependent clause. It is depending on I love to travel to make sense. Let us move on to next. Even though the exam was quite difficult, all the students passed. तो अभी पता चल गया हमें कि जो अंडरलाइंड है दैट इज अ डिपेंडेंट क्लॉज एंड द वन व्हिच इज नॉट अंडरलाइंड इज इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज. सो वी कैन सी दैट इवन दो द एग्जाम वाज क्वाइट डिफिकल्ट, भले ही एग्जाम बहुत बहुत ज्यादा टफ था, बहुत ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट था, दैट इज व्हाट इट मींस, राइट. कि भले ही एग्जाम बहुत ही टफ था, हाँ पर आगे क्या, कुछ ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, राइट, टू फिनिश द मीनिंग ऑफ द एंटायर सेंटेंस. एंड हेंस व्हाट आर वी गोइंग टू ऐड? ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स पास्ड, right? But when we see that this particular clause, all the students passed, is making sense, right? This one over here, let me know if you need any help. This in general looks like a simple sentence, but it is not. It is joined by using a conjunction if, right? So let me know is your independent clause, and if you need any help or you need any help is your dependent clause. This one, you can't go out and play until you finished your work. This is very conditional. जब तक आपने homework खत्म नहीं किया, आप बाहर नहीं जा सकते. So the underlined one over here is until you finished your work. जब तक आपने अपना homework खत्म नहीं किया. Again, ये पूरा sentence अधूरा अधूरा सा लग रहा है. It needs something to finish the meaning. But over here you can see you can't go out and play. It is very direct order कि आप बाहर जाके खेल नहीं सकते, and hence it is an independent clause. Now we are back to the topic again जो हमने पहले बात की थी when we were finishing compound sentence, that when and when to add a comma, when and where to add a comma. Then if the dependent clause comes first, जो dependent clause है जो खुद के ऊपर मीनिंग नहीं बना सकता, जब वो पहले आता है और जो इंडिपेंडेंट क्लॉज है वो बाद में आता है, then we put a comma. Again, I'll repeat, when the dependent clause comes first, we are going to add comma after it, and then we will start writing our independent clause. But if the independent clause comes first, जो sentence का meaning बना रहा है पूरा, जो sentence meaning बना रहा है, if that comes first, we are not going to add comma, right? Now comes subordinating conjunction. Like we were going to use coordinating conjunction in compound sentences, वैसे ही कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस में हम लोग यूज करते हैं सबऑर्डिनेटिंग कंजंक्शन. Conjunctions like when, because, even though, if, until, all these conjunctions are subordinating conjunctions. जब ये सारे conjunction हम use करते हैं तभी कौन सा sentence बनेगा? The sentence would be a complex sentence. Now we have another type of dependent clause. That dependent clause is called relative clause. A relative clause uses relative pronoun like who, that, which. कोई भी sentence है उसके बीच में हम लोग conjunction use करते हैं, conjunctions like who, that, which. तो जो बाकी का जो dependent clause बनेगा, that would be a relative clause. Let us see the example. I know a guy who plays guitar in a band. Both of these are divided by one word which is who. मुझे एक बंदा पता है जो गिटार बजाता है एक बैंड के अंदर, राइट? तो दोनों सेंटेंसेस है आई नो अ गाय फुल स्टॉप, ही प्लेज गिटार इन अ रॉक बैंड फुल स्टॉप. दोनों सेंटेंसेस जो है उनको मर्ज किया है हमने यूजिंग अ हु. Over here, synonyms are words that have similar meanings. Over here, our conjunction is that. That is used to join both the sentences, right? Here, the boss wants me to give a speech at the event, which is tomorrow. Right? कल एक event है और boss मुझे मेरे से expect कर रहा है कि मैं एक speech दूंगी. And hence, what word is used to join both the sentences? Which. Now here we have certain examples. We will just read through. Bracket में दिया है हमें कि कौन सा वाला कंजंक्शन यूज करना है. वो कंजंक्शन यूज करके हमें दो सेंटेंसेस हैं उनको एक में कंबाइन करना है. I'll just help you solve the first one. Rest you can read and refer on your own. Right? First one is people know fast food is bad for their health. Full stop. Still, people eat a lot of fast food nowadays. Right? We are supposed to use even though. Even though use करके हमें दोनों sentences को merge कर देते हैं. Let us see. People eat a lot of fast food nowadays. हमने पूरा jumble कर दिया है. Right? जो नीचे वाला था यहाँ पे people eat a lot of fast food, that we shifted in the front. Even though they know it's bad for their health. Even though they know it's bad for their health. यहाँ पे हमने comma क्यों नहीं लगाया हुआ है? Because the independent clause is at first. और जब independent clause पहले आता है तभी हम comma नहीं लगाते. अगर ये even though they know it's bad for their health हम लोग पहले लगाते हैं, which is dependent clause, तो health के बाद comma आता और people eat a lot of fast food nowadays बाद में आता. I hope that is clear. Now, what you can do is you can just pause the video and refer to second and third. And now I'm about to change the slide. Rest of the questions 4, 5, and 6, you can again pause and just refer. They are very easy. You are supposed to use the word in the bracket. Right? Generally, bracket use करके bracket में जो word है हम वो पूरा sentence है उसको छोटा कर देते हैं. Here, fourth one I'll refer so you can understand. Harvey was a vegetarian, full stop. Then he married Susie and he stopped being a vegetarian. हार्वी जो था वो वेजिटेरियन थे, फिर उन्होंने सूजी से शादी की और उन्होंने वेजिटेरियन होना बंद कर दिया. Then what are we supposed to use? Until use करके हमें सेंटेंस को ज्वाइन करना है और अल्टीमेटली हमारा सेंटेंस है वो छोटा हो जाएगा. हाँ, Harvey was a vegetarian until he married Susie. तो जो ये लास्ट वाला पार्ट है, he stopped being a vegetarian, वो पूरा until में ज्वाइन हो गया. राइट? हार्वी वेजिटेरियन थे सिर्फ तब तक जब उन्होंने सूजन के साथ शादी की. सॉरी, सूजी के साथ शादी की. आई होप दैट इज क्लियर. You can read 5th and 6th right now, and I'll change the slide now. Alright, now this is the last type of sentence. हमने compound पढ़ लिया, हमने complex पढ़ लिया, but there is another type of a sentence which is both compound and complex. दोनों combined आते हैं साथ में. Let us see what is there. I'm sorry. Yes, a compound and complex sentence has more than one independent clause and more than one and one or more dependent clause. इसमें independent clause भी है और dependent clause भी है. right? So a student would say that ma'am तो वो फिर complex sentence बन गया, but no, it would have more than one independent clause and it would have more than one dependent clause. या तो दो independent clause होंगे, एक dependent होगा, या फिर दो dependent clause, एक independent clause, and it could be even more than that. N number of permutation and combination could take place over here, right? And hence that is why it is a compound and complex sentence. Let us see the examples, तो आपको बहुत जल्दी समझ में आ जाएगा. I was crazy about heavy metal when I was younger, but I'm more into jazz now. Now there are three clauses over here. Let us bifurcate it so you could understand better. Independent clause क्या है यहाँ पे? I was crazy about heavy metal. Heavy metal is kind of a music form and I was crazy about it, right? I was crazy about heavy metal. This entire clause is making sense on its own without adding or having to add any condition into it. But the next clause, which is when I was younger, यहाँ पे हमारा conjunction क्या है? When, right? When I was younger is a dependent clause. It needs more information for it to stand. इसके बाद वाला जो sentence है, but I'm more into jazz now. पर अब मैं jazz में ज़्यादा हूँ. Like this is making sense. कि अब मुझे jazz ज़्यादा अच्छा लगता है. Jazz is again a kind of a music form. It's a music genre, right? And hence this is making sense. Independent है, ये dependent है और ये independent है. Here we have two independent clauses and we have one dependent clause. And hence this entire sentence is a compound complex sentence. Another example, if it rains tomorrow, bring your umbrella or you might catch a cold. यहाँ पे तीन clauses are combined together. First one is if it rains tomorrow. If it rains tomorrow. Second one is bring your umbrella. Second one. And third is or you might catch a cold. All of these three are combined to form one sentence. Let us see उसमें से independent कौन सा है, इसमें से dependent कौन सा है. Then dependent one of course is going to be this one, if it rains tomorrow. If it rains tomorrow, आगे क्या? We need more information, right? कि अगर कल बारिश होती है तो क्या? Hence, first one is a dependent clause. Next one is bring your umbrella. आप खुद का छाता लेके आना. This one in itself is making sense. It does not need any more information. आप कल अपना छाता लेके आना. Makes sense, right? And the last one, or you might catch a cold. You might catch a cold is making sense, right? कि आपको शायद ठंड लग जाएगी. If someone is not telling me umbrella लाइए मत लाए, but if I say that you might catch a cold, it is making sense on its own. And hence we have two independent clauses over here and we have one dependent clause. I hope this one is very clear. All right, so that is it for the chapter. I hope this is very clear to you. Simple compound complex के जितने ज़्यादा practice आप करते हो, जितनी ज़्यादा practice, you can practice it from Brennan Martins, you can practice it from Google, उतना ज़्यादा आपका जो doubt है वो clear होगा. But I'm really sure that through this lecture your basics have gotten really clear. So that is it. Thank you so much. I'll see you in our next lecture. Bye.